of the most admirable chasers you could possibly wish to see.
Hello and welcome to another edition of the Racehour podcast, brought to you with our friends at Gambling.com. Of course, it's National Hunt season 23-24. I think we're on to week 4 of the Racehour. Unfortunately, Diarmuid Nolan is not here this week. He's got other duties he must attend to. No doubt he will be back next week to talk about the fallout from what is the second big Cheltenham meeting of the winter. Of course, coming up this weekend, Friday, Saturday and Sunday at the Paddy Power meeting, isn't it? I love this one. It's always got some cracking races in it. I brought two very esteemed guests along to help us with it. Of course, Stephen Cass is back. Mr. Cass, how are you?
I'm great. We'll miss Diarmuid, won't we?
We will miss him. Yeah, we will.
Do you think if the numbers are good, he wouldn't? We could just drop him then forever. You know, you gotta play the figures.
I think I'm probably in more danger of that than him, Stephen, based on previous, episodes. But yeah. What would I don't know if he fancy hosting it though. Maybe I'm safe.
Who, Diarmuid fancy hosting it?
Yeah,
he's done that. No, he's useless. He's absolutely useless at doing that.
I'm glad you said it, not me, yeah. Stephen. Good man. Joining Mr. Cass alongside myself is Darren Hughes. Darren, how are you?
Yeah, I'm good, Dino. I'm good. Not too bad. Looking forward to an actual week's racing at Cheltenham, or weekend's racing at Cheltenham, I should say. Looks like a decent card, so let's get stuck into it.
Yeah, fair play. Do you know, I think I said on this one when we did the opening meeting at Cheltenham this season that the Irish come over, send the B team, C team, D team and pick up a lot of races. It might be a little bit more even this weekend. There are a couple of races that are set up for benefits for them, like the cross country and stuff like that. But I think it might be a little bit more even. So we might get a bit more of a natural competitive card. It certainly looks like good stuff. Quick chat about the weekend that's just been, though. What did we make of Gerri, Darren Hughes? I think I said his bubble would burst. His bubble didn't burst, but he wasn't super exciting.
I think he had a few things go wrong. I think Conflate had spent half the race jumping into him. He landed on one fence himself, to be fair. That was his own fault. And as you know, as we discussed on the pod last week, they aren't their first in his ideal circumstances. I mean, I think he actually won half snug enough in the end. Like, I think if the race was another even 10 or 15 yards, I think he could have put another 3 or 4 lengths between himself and Envoi Allen. Maybe that's a bit of an exaggeration, but ballpark would say. Yeah, I think lots to work with from there. I assume he wasn't fully cooked. One more run between now and Cheltenham would be a concern for me. Seems like a horse that would thrive in his race, and his best race seems to be his last race every season. So not sure about that decision, but I'd say a B minus, maybe C plus B minus as comebacks go for me.
Fair enough. Yeah, okay, I'll take that on board. I completely am thrown by the idea. Might only run it one more time before Cheltenham. I'd definitely be in your camp there. Mr. Cass, did he enhance his Gold Cup claims?
Well, I was impressed. I thought he jumped in the main very, very well, and only for Jack Kennedy gave him an absolute stones, he would have won easy because he had him on the wrong side of Conflated the whole way around. And then that manoeuvre between the second last and the last, sure, he had to switch twice during between the two fences, so it has to have used up an awful lot of petrol. He nearly killed his chance just doing that manoeuvre. If he'd held his line, he would have won by 5 or 6 lengths, I think, because Conflated actually jumped the last dead straight. Jack had to do what he had to do out of panic, but he gave him a really bad ride and the horse still won well. Very impressed. I mean, the form of that Brown Advisory is looking good. So his lifetime form is just looking good in general. Yeah, he's a big contender for the Gold Cup for sure. It's just a shame that the crap going on with this cross country and all the dodging going on, because the Lexus in the old days, it would have been an absolute belter. You probably would have had Gallop and Deschamps and Gerri Cheltenham, and you would have had Manelendo, and you would have had Conflated and all these horses, and it would have been a much richer race for it. So that was nearly my bigger takeaway from the race, is that, geez, it's going to be a dull enough season with this Gordon and Willie shadow boxing, and it's going to be draining enough. But on Gerri Cheltenham, I thought he was very good.
Fair enough. I mean, we're going to get into some of this nonsense that's going on. If you look at the Troytown, which we will later on, we're going to throw that into the mix for the weekend racing. It's like 175 Gordon Elliott horses against themselves. So, yeah, pick the bones out of that. We will have a go. Okay, Gerri Cheltenham, then there was the Paul Nicholls show, as we predicted, happened at Wincanton, Darren. It wasn't necessarily the 4. I mean, obviously we covered the TV races. He picked up the first 2 and then 2 following that. Napper's Hill, obviously, in there. Reward was in there. Nicholls doing okay on home soil.
Yeah, for sure. Napper still surprised me, I have to say. I opposed him last week on the show. Still not sure what he beat, to be honest. Though he put in an exhibition of jumping, like he jumps like a proper good one. So that'll obviously stand to him in future. I think 300 through 5, mine and his days are finished. I think he might be a little bit of a twice. I don't think
I
he
wanted
wants
to
to win.
ask you about that, Darren, because he looked like he should just go on and win several times during the race. Like he
Yeah,
kept coming, he was doing everything pretty easily, but then you never really know with Cobden. The horse didn't seem to want to go past anything, really. He got there almost by mistake.
yeah. I think there might be a bit of a kink in him. I'd say he's plenty of ability. Like he probably has in terms of absolute ability as regards to his mark. He's probably still ahead of it. It's just, I don't think he puts it all in, and especially in the type of races he's running in, maximum effort is generally required to go and win. So, he was 3 on in the run. Being brutally honest, I thought he might be shorter. But
Other people knew, Darren. I was counting the money. I was like, just a question of when they go past.
Same, to be honest. But in any case, that's me and him finished. He'll pick up plenty of place prize money going forward, but he won't be doing it with my cash in his back anyway. I can tell you that.
It's fair enough. I mean, Stephen, I don't imagine you were too concerned what Nichols was doing at Wincanton. There were a couple of decent Irish horses out as well at the weekend that perhaps we didn't cover in advance. I did give Dino Blue a good mention for the season ahead. I think you might have seen the Mayor's Chase winner beat Phil Doris. She should. And there was Grange Clare West back to something like previous hype levels, I would say, with a good win as well on Irish soil. Anything else catch your eye, including that?
Yeah, Grange Clare West was very good. The problem with that race, I have a thing with this, like the low sun thing at Naas was complete bullshit because, we all know if you're driving into super low sun, fair enough, you can see it. But the sun was coming from the side. And if you've ever been out for a walk and the sun is baking on the side, you can't have a better view in front of you. You just have a long shadow to your side. So I've no idea what the issue was. And do you ever notice when they bypass the fences, whoever's second, they can't go up sides. They have to check back in, let the leading horse go around. So how can you make up the ground? It's like the low sun. I get it if it's actually beaten into their heads. But Grange Clare West, I was annoyed because I have a big thing for Hartwood, who I think if he jumped the last or hadn't got an opportunity to jump the last, he's such a good jumper. Could have had a different result. But Hartwood, I put him up as a horse to follow for the season before he ran. I think when they give him his head, maybe over 2 miles, and he's allowed jump from the front, he was one I would take out of that race. But Grange Clare West was really good as well. It was a really good race. Another one, you mentioned Dinah Blue, she was good. And I thought Harmonia Maker at Goran, she gave an exhibition of jumping. Now, she made a mistake at the third last, a really bad one. But apart from that, God, she jumped straight as a die, and I think she'd be better left-handed. She'd have to improve about a stone for fences to get in the mix. You'd want to be running to about 150 to be in the mix in that Mayor's Chase. She's 20-1. I could see her doing it, though. She was really, really good. I definitely give her a chance in the Mayor's. But it was a great weekend of racing.
Was. And we have another one to look forward to. I'm assuming nothing else really piqued anyone's interest over the weekend, so we can move on because we've got Friday, Saturday, and Sunday from Cheltenham ahead of us. Going to be plenty of clues in here, plenty of old favourites from me, so I don't probably don't have to do too much form study, as Stephen Cass knows. I just back the same horses over and over again until they win.
And they're all running this weekend.
They're most weekends. That's the
Al
great
Dancer
thing about
and that other grey horse and the
Angel's
Waters
Breath
brothers.
is back.
They're all running. They're all running.
Dusat is back. Yeah.
I might ask you, Stephen, before we do go further, what do you make of Irish Point giving Magical Zoe £13? I thought that was a fair old performance.
No, I forgot about them too.
Very good, and that form of that Aintree race just keeps looking better and better and better. Everything's winning coming out of that. I thought Irish Point was a touch soft last year when, do you remember the race? I can't remember the name of it, the Grade 1 at Naas. That Willie one was one of his other ones. But I thought Irish Point, maybe there's a bit of softness in him, but he kind of showed a bit of dig in him now at the weekend, and 2 miles as well. But I suspect with him they're kind of gonna maybe try and just go for the entry hurdle over 2.5 will be his season target. But yeah, very impressed. I wonder would they chance running them in a champion hurdle and then go to entry maybe instead of going world hurdle, entry hurdle. I'd agree with you, Darren. You were impressed as well.
Yeah, you wouldn't know. I just thought giving her like the guts of a stone and giving her like a fair beating, there was nothing accidental about it. I thought that was actually pretty good, to be brutally honest. I don't think it got half enough coverage in the post-mortem of the weekend, so just thought I'd bring it up.
Yeah, proper horse. I was kind of surprised they're not going over fences with him. He looks like a chaser, but
100%,
yeah, he's definitely a proper animal.
Very good, lads. Thank you. Okay, we'll kick on into Cheltenham then, ahead of the Paddy Power meeting. We'll get underway, of course, tomorrow if you're watching this on Thursday evening. But Friday's first one we're going to look at is the 145. We'll come to any of the races across the cards, of course. Calico and Do Your Job. Lucinda Russell and Dan Skelton look like they're going head to head here, vying for favouritism with those two at the top of this. Handicap chase kicks off. Darren Hughes. I'm a big fan of Calico. We haven't seen it for 216 days. It's got to go and lump plenty of weight in here, along with the other joint favourite. I'm going to be on side.
Yeah, Do Your Job is a bit of a bigger price when I do my notes for this race. So I'm actually
money,
against
money.
Yeah, I'm a little bit annoyed. Obviously, listen, the positives or the supposed positives are pretty obvious. Second run after a wind up, it's obviously an easier race than the one he made his return in. And he's moved to Lucinda Russell Yard, who, with the greatest respect to Michael Scudamore, she would be a considerably better handler than him, or certainly she would have a better record with this type of horse. Some of his back form, I should say, is very strong in the context of this. The handicap has been slow enough to relent. Is the only thing I would say. His last 5 or 6 runs, I wouldn't have him on a mark 140, but I am hoping that he has got the back class to outperform that mark, and hopefully he can get back to winning ways. His price is starting to get to a place where I'm not really interested at this point. And his jumping is also a very slight worry, but I thought he has the latent ability to win a race like this.
Fair enough. Okay, of course. Stephen, when I come to you on this one, Calico was mixing it with John Bond. A couple of fast races last year that were always good fun to watch, getting enterprising stuff from Harry Skelton, especially, I think it was in the Warwick race where they went toe to toe for a minute. It looks like John Bond was beaten. John Bond obviously showing all the class that it has to come back and win that race. I'm keen on the fad. Darren likes Do Your Job. What do you like?
I'm going to go for a bit of a rag here, Coast Guard Station. He's kind of 16-20 to 1. He just has little bits and pieces of form, and he's got a featherweight. Like, he's off 121 here, carrying 10 stone 9. So last season, he's very consistent as well. Like, his form figures are good. You can see there, like, he's 2-2-3-5-3. So he always runs his race. He was third at Ayr behind Melistic and Elixir de Nuts. Obviously, Elixir de Nuts has improved that form this year. He was second, his best piece of form, he was second at Doncaster last year to Haddock's de Zobo. Now, we all know Haddock's de Zobo has improved a ton, and he was the only one that gave him a race. He travelled really strongly. He always travels well, and Haddock's de Zobo is now 20 pounds higher, whereas Coast Guard Station's kind of still off the same. He went up in trip at Uttoxeter after that. I don't think he stayed 2.5. So a strong run 2 miles should suit. I do have a little feeling that he probably wants a flat track. He hasn't been to Cheltenham before, but at 16-20 to 1, I'm willing to give him a go. He reappeared over hurdles to get ready for his season over fences, and he was third running on well. So he's loads of form in the book. He's a very big price for a horse that does, and he's really low in the handicap. So he'd be one I give a chance to.
Fair enough. Okay, Darren and myself liking the top end of the market with Calico and Do Your Job, and Stephen Cass going for Coast Guard Station. Big price for Henry Oliver and David Noonan. Decent race to kick off our look at Friday. The following race, there's 4 nice horses in it, but it's a bit of a shock and turnout, Stephen. It's always a small field, this Arkle trial. I'm not sure why it's like that. Maybe that's just the state of racing. But you've JPR1, Mighty Tom, Petit Tonnerre, and On Public. Only 4 go to post.
Yeah, it doesn't look a good race. I mean, you've had Put the Kettle On, Banbridge. Third Time Lucky was impressive, and 1 year Lawler was mighty impressive when he won it 1 year.
Yeah.
Like JPR1 is all the rage, all the talk. He was only a 130 hurdler, lowest official rating here. Not that it really matters on their first or second run over fences.
Sure.
He was impressive in that he got the hang of it, but sure, God knows what he beat in those UK novice chases. So I'd sit it out. I've no real opinion, but there's no way I'd want to be back in JPR1 at 6-4. In fact, I'd lay that. That'd probably be my way to play it.
Fair enough. I'm a big fan of Petit Tonnerre. Was last year. I thought come up just short in some big races for me at decent prices. I'd be keen to see what it does over fences. Don't know if I'd be steaming in for this 220 at Cheltenham, but it's the horse I'm most looking forward to for the season from the group. Darren, what did you like?
It's pure shite. This is an embarrassment. I'm like, this is absolute nonsense. I've got this fairly similar view to Stephen. I wouldn't be rushing to lay JPR1 at 6-4 myself, but at the same time, I'd have absolutely no interest in backing it. This is absolute crap. Like, as in, none of these horses would be in the top 60 novice chasers in Ireland. Like, this is an absolute embarrassment for Grade 2.
You have to wonder why there isn't a couple of Irish raiders over. We've obviously had Banbridge last year. So maybe because the prize pool isn't that big, there is good racing going on in Ireland, plenty for them not to need to come. But it's an opportunity to go test out Cheltenham, isn't it?
Yeah, I think that Navan Racing Festival, is that this weekend, or am I making that up if I invented that in my head? Probably a few more quid at home, as in, there's no point in trekking them across for the sake of, I think it's 30 grand for the winner. Like, it's a nice park, don't get me wrong, but I don't think anyone's going to rush over for it. Certainly none of Willie's with Gordon's, but yeah, I just thought this was fairly depressing, to be honest with you. It's a reflection on the current state of our sport, unfortunately.
Yeah, on one side of the world. I mean, Stephen, they could have sent B and D and C and E teamers over, couldn't they, from Ireland to fill up this field?
Well, they have. I mean, Mighty Thomas trained in Ireland, isn't he?
Yeah,
so there is an Irish runner. So
not from one of the yards that you would expect would come over and test their Arkle credentials. We've got horses over there like Marine Nationale could go, Facile Vega could go. Like there's horses there with big pretensions on the season. Missing an Arkle trial at Cheltenham.
Yeah, well, there's no, like, I know if I was an owner, I definitely wouldn't want my horse's first ever run over fences to be at Cheltenham. No way, like uphill and downdale. Like the old course, Cheltenham is a rat track, so I wouldn't send a good horse over there.
Okay.
Not for the first run, but yeah, I think Irish small trainers should, and Cian Collins is doing it. Mighty Tom has a really good chance, but if I was a big gun with a 150 hurdler, I wouldn't be going to Cheltenham for my first run anyway. So I can kind of see where they're coming from.
Fair enough. Could be picked up by the Irish team, of course, with Cian Collins, but I mean that would be one that you'd even consider, as Darren said. Top, he said 60, but maybe you can go a little bit lower than that. But yeah, it's a weak enough group for the Grade 2, the 220 at Cheltenham. What about the 330 there? We've got a horse, of course, that has already done something this season in Captain Teague and was third, of course, in the Cheltenham bumper last year. Paul Nicholls, Harry Cobden. It's going to go off odds on, Darren. Simple as that, or there's a few nice ones in here.
There are a few nice ones in here, Dean, but I think he should win. He's actually a horse I'm looking forward to this year. I try and temper myself with these English horses because, to be perfectly frank, none of them are any good. But I think this fella might be all right. And I'm kind of half looking forward to the coming year. Happy to watch him at 4 to 6. I'm not going to be streaming in at that price at the moment, but I would actually quite like to see him win. I'd like to go into the rest of the season with an actual proper good Grade 1 novice hurdler from England. It's been a little while, so we'll see how he gets on, but I'm excited to see him. He was very, very good. On debut, obviously had a couple of bumper runs last year. Nichols's aren't as forward as they usually would be at this time of year. He's winning plenty of races, don't get me wrong, but oftentimes he gets off to an absolute flyer, and they're just a smidge slower than they usually would be. But looking forward to seeing this fella tomorrow and seeing how he gets on.
Fair enough. Decent Irish contingent to tackle here, Stephen, with Kimbara, the big Doyen, of course, sequestered in there. What do you make of the Captain Teague race, or am I being unfair to the others to call it that?
No, I think he'd be very disappointed if Captain Teague didn't win. I think he just has to be 140 hurdler to win this, and God, if he's not, you'd be disappointed for Cheltenham bumper form, for Paul Nicholls, and for English race, and I think he will win. So that's fine. One horse I'd be mad keen to take on is the big Doyen, who I think has to go left-handed. He's been right-handed. He finished 6th to 7th at Leopardstown, ran a rotten race. Then he was last 5 at Navan. Now he won a tip left-handed, but he was 1 to 4 on, 4 to 1 on, 1 to 4, and beat a 200 to 1 shot. He's an absolutely big gross horse. I don't think the old course Cheltenham's going to suit. So I think if there's an angle here in the without Captain Teague market, get against something else. I thought Manila Missile ran a nice race. To be honest, we don't have the prices yet without and so on. So sure. I'd be looking at that and taking on the big tie-in that way. I think that's the betting angle.
Fair enough. Now there's a few other races on the Friday. None of them are absolute standout, maybe apart from the cross country, if that's your bag. You've given out already, Stephen, about how some of these horses could obviously not be switching around to go after Banks races and that. But Galvin, Delta Work, Foxy Jackson, I know Diarmuid Nolan's a massive fan of, could well turn up here under Gavin Bruder for Mouse Morris, probably will. What do we make of this? 13 go to post. These races change their shape, don't they, as they get to the festival? They should probably change the one at the festival to suit.
Yeah, no, I haven't a clue now. I don't pay any attention to cross country, Dino. Nope, I have no opinion.
I didn't expect you to have a bet, to be honest. Was there anything else on the Friday?
No. That first race is really interesting.
Decent,
yeah. But I haven't found a bet in it either. But I've loads for the rest of the weekend. I thought Pinnacle Peak did it really, really well the last day when he beat your fella. Was it Angel's Breath was in that race or the other
right.
one? Yeah, and Geez, he was impressive though, and you know, you'd like to be backing him at double figures to repeat the dose over the same course distance. But I've never heard of Harry Atkins. Don't know who he is. Don't know what he's like. So I can't back him without somebody telling me that this Harry Atkins is the second coming or something. In the first race, the conditional jockeys handicap.
Hey,
but,
if that horse repeats the run of the Angels Pref run,
you just have to hold on.
He might just need to still be there.
Yeah. Well, he did look like a bit of a steering job.
He did.
And I don't think he got. Let me have a look. I don't think he got done too badly. He went up
£6, I think, maybe something like that.
£6, yeah, which is looks light, doesn't it? But look, I don't know, Anthony. Good luck to you, Harry Atkins. I might have a win bet at the off and hope that you're able to put the feet in the irons and hold on.
Yep. Happy days. All right, Darren. Anything else from Friday before I move into a bit of Saturday action?
Nothing enormous. I would say for that cross country race, I wouldn't be under any pretensions that I have a clue what's going on here either. But I'd say you could probably lay Del to work at the price relatively safely. He has always needed his first run historically. Highly unlikely he's going to be tuned up for this with a view to the rest of the season. So I just thought maybe he was opposable. If he got any shorter, I'd certainly be looking to lay him at the prices. But that's more of an intuition as opposed to any sort of reading the form book.
Sure. Okay. That's Friday. Let's move on into Saturday. Of course, it is Paddy Power Chase Day. We'll kick off though with the 145 there, where Mr. Coffee, a horse I absolutely love, but he also loves coming second, so they kind of go hand in hand. He'll be there for Nico de Boinville and Nicky Henderson. You've got Good Risk at All. I would say still plenty of improve to come from Sam Thomas's charge there. We've all been caught. It was a little bit disappointing on Chase debut, of course, Broadway Boy, Ala Felipe and Cloudy Flamingo. Another small field, Darren, but decent enough runners here. They've all got the kind of older stage. I know he's only 8, but he feels like he should be 14. Mr. Coffee to aim at.
Yeah, I can't believe that this Good Risk at All. Like, he's favoured in some places. I can't believe they're still offering 7-2 with this horse. Like, I wouldn't want to. I wouldn't want to be laying 2-1, much less 7-2. I've had some of the 7-2. I think he's an unbelievable price at that. He has some course form here. He ran okay in the Coral Cup, and he looks street better horses for fences, I have to say. Some of these look like they might be slightly on the downgrade. I think that might be fair to say. And look, Mr. Coffee has taken up way too much of the market for a horse that doesn't win races. So for all that, this is maybe a little bit easier than some of what he's contested in the past. But I think Good Risk at All is the coming horse. I'm inclined to believe his chasing debut, and I think if you can get any of the 7-2, 3-1, 10-3 that's available, I see he's 9-4 in some places. I would say that's a tremendous bet.
Yeah, that's the price currently. You can definitely get plenty of it around. I'm torn here because I love Mr. Coffee, and I think if he just runs his best level, he will win. But I'm also a fan of We've All Been Caught, Good Risk at All. Romantically, I'm torn, Stephen, but that's not unusual.
Yeah, look, it's a little bit of a trappy race. If I was to own one, if I was to be given one, I think you'd want Good Risk at All. Like, he looked awesome at Carlisle. He's a very good horse, but I'd have 2 big question marks over him. Firstly, I'm not sure he wants 3 miles. He doesn't look like an out-and-out stayer. He looks like a quick 2.5 miler. And the second thing is the ground. Like, he definitely wants it soft. It's good to soft now, and there's different forecasts. I hear everyone saying it's going to be bottomless and soft. And when you look at the Norwegians, they're not giving much rain at all. So it could just be good to soft ground, which wouldn't be Good Risk at All's ideal conditions. I think from the last day, I definitely would prefer Broadway Boy over We've All Been Caught. So, if I was to have a token pick, it would be Broadway Boy in the race, just with the doubts about the trip and the ground of Good Risk at All. But I can see where Darren's coming from in terms of being in love with the horse. But I just have little question marks over him. What do you think about the trip, Darren?
Yeah, it wasn't so much a concern for me. I thought there was enough in the pedigree that maybe he might get away with it. Now, I can see where you're coming from, as in, like, even in the Coral Cup, he was beaten before the last. You know what I mean? And I don't think it was a thing where. I forgot the Coral Cup. Sorry, he was beaten before the last, and I don't think it was. You could definitely argue he looked like a tired horse finishing it. I think he might get away with it in a smaller field than obviously a 26 runner Coral Cup when they're going a million miles an hour is a lot different to a chase like this at the start of the season where they might lob around a little bit slowly. But wasn't an enormous concern for me.
First 6 furlongs, didn't they?
Yeah, that's what I thought. Yeah, as in, like, you've got Mr. Coffee in here who looks like he might go forward. He's never been a tearaway in his life, so I just thought he might get away with it with the field that's in it.
Okay. Okay, if I'm Nico de Boinville, I'm bouncing out and trying to get them all on the go. But, the Twist and Davis camp thought so much of We've All Been Caught was well punted, wasn't it? On its seasonal return. What did it go off? 9-4 in the Flooring Porter race. So, a good few results here wouldn't surprise me. I'm probably going to watch it and watch Mr. Coffee win after backing it 15 times. So, that'll be what'll happen to me, no doubt. 220 at Cheltenham is the Paddy Power Gold Cup handicap chase, of course. And it's the big one. Now, I was kind of crabbing this the other day, saying we wouldn't get a really good one come along potentially, but Stage Star, the real whacker, set this up as a proper puzzle now, because the handicappers behind they've got something properly to aim at now, Stephen. I was an unexpected party fan. I kind of feel like I nailed my colours, and I love Angel's Breath. But have you found something with a bit of value in here?
Well, I certainly did until he got punted the ears off him on Tuesday. The one I like, I cannot believe how well handicapped he is really with the framing of the race, is Il Ridoto. And you think, you kind of hear his name and think, geez, he's been around the houses now all last season.
I love it.
He like last year he ran in this off 140. He was fourth. Then he beat Fugitif at the end of January. He's £4 better off of Fugitif for that run, because he pulled up in the top, basically. And sure, races over national fences don't really count to me, and especially Nichols at the end of a long season. And Il Ridoto had a hard season. So he's back down to 144. Freddie, how do we say it? Gingle?
Gingle.
Gingle, isn't it?
Is it?
Yeah, well, he's claiming
he's good, Freddie.
He was claiming he was claiming 7. He must have had a winner yesterday or something. He was claiming 7 on the card all week. It says here he's claiming 5, but in effect, that means he's going to be getting £18 from Stage Star and £23 from the Real Whacker. Now, if you were to have a match race at Cheltenham where Il Ridoto was getting £18 from Stage Star, I would be sure that Il Ridoto would be the favourite there, and he'd be odds-on favourite. And the same with the Real Whacker at this trip, getting £23. He has absolutely no weight on his back. He's really solid around the course and distance. It just depends. Nichols, the way he kind of gets him ready for a day. It just depends if this is the day, but it looks like with the little bit of money that came from it is. So 8-9-1, whatever he is, I think he's handicapped the best of all of these by a long, long way. I mean, Fugitif has been creeping up and up and up, whereas they've let Il Ridoto down for finishing 6th, I think, in the plate, and then a bad run at the top of him. And then you have Freddie Gingle taking off all the weight as well. I just think he's really, really well handicapped, and it's simple as they'll all do well to give him that weight.
Fair enough. Freddie Jingle or Gingle is recent form figures from the 6th of November. First, third, pulled up, first, third, fifth, fourth, first, 8th. So yeah, his claim's valuable for a while yet, and he's on a big one in there. I loved Il Ridoto for this last year. I wouldn't say I gave up on him. I collected on him in one of these races when he obviously went there in January. But I'm not with him this time round, Darren.
I can see Stephen's argument. I would have preferred him to have a run myself, if I was going to back him, but there's no arguing that I completely agree with his analysis that if there was let's call it 2 match races between the aforementioned 2 at the top of the market, there's absolutely no doubt he'd be favourite. So on that alone, you can argue he's too big a price. I backed Unexpected Party for this last week. I thought he was twice the price of Stage Star at that stage, which I thought was ludicrous. He obviously is also getting a bit of a swing in the weights with him from last year. I'm delighted to see the Real Whacker in the race, which it should set up nicely for those ridden a little bit colder, because I'm hoping that the front 2 in the market will take themselves on, and Unexpected Party, but usually has dropped out. So the race might set up nicely for him. You're getting 5 places each way. I'd be disappointed if he's not in the frame, or at least in the front 5. I think he's still 7-1. I think there's probably enough juice in this price anywhere down to about 11-2 with the 5 places on offer. So I'm not going to abandon ship now. Quite happy to be on a 10s Unexpected Party.
Okay.
We should talk a bit more about the horses that everyone will be talking about. I mean, I don't fancy Stage Star at all. I mean, I've
never been a fan, Stephen. So it's not easy.
I like the horse. I've always, I've been on this podcast saying maybe he was a good outsider for the Brown Advisory last year when he was like 100-1 or whatever. But anyway, he ran at the Turners. He won the Turners, but the Turners was absolute muck.
Wasn't it, Jeff?
Compared to the Brown Advisory, there's no comparison. So the Real Whacker was beating Braun, the Irish national winner, and Gerri. Stage Star beat not Long Till May, who's an average animal.
Mighty Potter was in there. Appreciate it. Who
Yeah,
was
and
9
James
at
de
that
Burley
stage?
gone
Yeah,
backwards.
James de
Well,
Burley went backwards.
you know my opinion on Mighty Potter. Now he's no longer with us. We won't talk disrespectfully of him anymore. But I think that was a really poor race. So if you're running off 155 in a Paddy Power, you have to be a 162, 163 horse. And
minimum,
I
yeah.
think I think there's absolutely no chance he's that in my view. So I'd give him very little chance in my book. Unexpected Party, I kind of down as a little bit soft. Not long till May we're tying in with Stage Star, the real whacker. Jesus, he'd want to be some monster to win this now off 162. Fugitive would have a chance if he's improved again, but he probably hasn't because he's 8. So I don't think it's going to be as hard a race to win as it looks on paper, but it is an absolute belter of a renewal, I must say. Like to have the Brown Advisory winner and the juice and what's it called, the one, the middly one, the Turners, to have the Turners winner.
Turners,
yeah, it's great. Now if I have to pick a rag, I'm not sure why Black Gerri's the outsider of the whole lot of them, because he was really impressive with Plumpton, jumps really straight, we'll get into a rhythm. I would think Cheltenham, the old course, might suit him. He's kind of horse could lie up in 3rd or 4th and run a good race. So he's kind of 33.50 to 1. So he'd be one to have a little poke as well. But the other thing with Stage Star is the ground. I think he wants it soft and he mightn't get it again. So there's another X in his column. I'd be very worried about him on quicker ground. He looks like he's an absolute muddler.
You've lots going for you if you want to take on the top 2, don't you? As in, like, between obviously everything is kind of off a nice weight, racing weight, I should say, given obviously the real whackers coming in are of such a big weight, and again the style of running of the front 2. If you're something that likes to kind of sit off it, as you said there, even Black Gerri sitting 3rd or 4th, you've got something to aim at the whole way around. If you were so inclined to take the front 2 on, I think you've got a lot going for you.
And normally you probably have 18 runners in this. Only 14 runners. Disappointing turnout, isn't it? Only 14 runners, but you're going to get 5 places, 14 runners. So it's quite a good each way race as well.
100%.
Oh yeah, the punting angle is definitely there to have a go at something a little bit bigger than the front end. If the real whacker could win this, I mean, the Gerri Cologne fanboys will be up in arms, won't they, that this is all going swimmingly. But it's a 162, 12 stone. Like, where would that put him? He'd have to be going Grade 1 Gold Cups. That's all they'd be thinking about.
Sure, he's already that anyway. You know, he's won a Brown Advisory. He's going for the Gold Cup. There's no question there. But what I'd love to see him do, I'd love to see him run well. And I think Leopardstown's a track that would suit him. He'd remind you of somebody like the Listener. You know, you get out, you pop away in front around the back straight at Leopardstown. I used to love when horses used to come over from England for those good races. Now Patrick Neville is an Irishman, and I remember when he won the Brown Advisory, Patrick Neville said we'll probably see him at Listowel in September. That would have been some sight now. That's what he said immediately after. Brilliant. But anyway, we didn't see him in the Munster National or the Kerry National, but I would say to Patrick Neville, look, I hope the horse runs well for him this weekend, and please bring him to Leopardstown at Christmas, because that would really make it worth something with Gerri Cologne. I think it would suit him a lot more than a King George would. Now they'd probably go for that shitty race, the old pillar chase in January, which hopefully they don't. Hopefully they don't. Paddy, bring him over to Ireland, and we'll all go to Leopardstown. That'd be class.
And we cheer him on, all right. I love that. I do think Angel's Breath is still potentially very well handicapped. I do think that was always thought of as a much better horse than a 144. That run behind Pinnacle Peak that you mentioned earlier on, Stephen, when we were discussing Friday's racing, he's given almost, what was he given? Nearly 2 stone. First run for Sam Thomas. Jonathan Burke is in the plate here instead of Sam, because Sam obviously has the association with the real whacker. Any sort of improvement puts him in the mix, I think, of 10-10. And I'd imagine he'll run well. I've already backed Unexpected Party. I will be back in Angel's Breath. I'll split myself in half for that. And I'd be with the other lads. I don't think you go too far back in those short price ones at the top, albeit it's wonderful to have them in there. You've got Rags in here that have won the last 4 races on the bounce, or either win and pull up. This is a fascinating renewal, albeit smaller field than usual for the Paddy Power. Let's move on to the handicap hurdle that follows it. I was intrigued to see Sham Blue back in action for the Skeltons. Everyone knows I'm a big fan. They decided to go hurdling. I could see this one going off favourite for the real old romantics in there. Chantry House is also dropped up for Nico de Boinville, Nicky Henderson. But the favourite at the top, John Paul Gilligan with Buddy 1. What do you reckon, Stephen Cass?
Yeah, Buddy 1, like he's rated 147, having won at Galway, and interestingly enough, he didn't even get pushed up. He was 3rd in the Martin Pipe off 135. I think he's probably near the top enough of his mark, you know, for him to be a mid 150s horse. He'd nearly be crawling into stairs hurdle territory, and maybe he can, but I won't be backing him to do it. A few interesting ones. I thought the horse coming over for David Pipe, place net. It's like the old days when he used to bring one over from France and throw him in. 124 looks very light. He won 2 listed chases in France. He ran to an RPR of 144 over fences the last day. So to be getting in off 124, he could be thrown in off that. The one who I think 3 miles could suit is Maka Devassi. At Exeter the last day, he was under the pump from 4 out. He should have been swallowed up, and then he was only beaten a length. He just kept staying and staying. He looks like a horse, a bit of soft ground in 3 miles is what he want. Like he's run well on the new course twice in graded races as a novice, but like 123, I think he'll be better than that in time. He's still only 5, but to be honest, very difficult race. Like it's another one I haven't had a bet yet, and I'll just be throwing a 5 or a 10 or and watching it on Saturday. I won't be getting heavily involved here.
Fair enough. I'll be checking out the vibes on this Chamblou as they get closer to race day. I'm really looking forward to seeing it back. I do think for want of some better piloting, not that Harry Skelton is a bad jockey, Chamblou would have plenty of nice prize money banked that it doesn't currently have. Darren Hughes?
Yeah, Stephen mentioned the one I fancy here. I thought Maka Devassi, was delighted, I should say, to see him going up in trip. Again, lovely race and weight. I thought that Chamblou and Chantry House are highly likely to need this, just given their overall profiles. On bearability alone, I don't think they're going to be tuned up anywhere close enough to win a race like this. It's very much.
Chamblou could probably be half fit though and win off 140, Darren.
I'm not sure he's the horse he was. I'm really not.
We're going to find out 327 days later from his last disappointment. There's plenty of them on there.
Yeah, geez, that the fall he took that day was a mother and the father of a fall, and Charlie Hall, I think it was, Weatherby. In any case, I just thought he might need this again. I don't think he'd be tuned up for Chantry House, same story. So I was kind of looking for something lower down in the weights, and I just thought, as Stephen said, Maka Devassi, this sort of trip is exactly what he wants. I thought that race next year was actually an all right race for the grade, and he, again, as Stephen mentioned, he's got reasonable course form going back a couple of seasons. He fell here in the Pretemps. Too early to know how he was going, but he was third behind Walking on Air before that. That form looks okay, albeit it wasn't at Cheltenham. So there's a bit of double-digit prices knocking around for him at the minute, which I think is quite reasonable. Again, as Stephen said, I'd be disappointed if he's not better than 122 or 123 in the fullness of time. So first go at the trip, I think you could do an awful lot worse than him, anywhere between 9 and 10 to 1. All
right. No colours like totally laid, but Maka Devassi definitely highlighted by the two lads there. PlaceNet, who could be anything coming from France, of course, for David Pipe. First one for him. What else do we like on the Saturday, chaps? Anything of interest? Stephen, you must have found something else.
Yeah, I think Burdett Road is a really good price. Now, we're recording this Thursday at 3:15 p.m. and he
in the
is
Triumph Trial.
In the Triumph Trial, the first race. James Owen horse. I thought that he was very, very good the last day. Was it Huntingdon or Uttoxeter? I think it was Huntingdon. Yeah, Huntingdon. So he beat a horse of Alan King's by 12 lengths, and it was an absolute country mile back to the third. And what really caught my eye was how effusive Harry Cobden was about him. He was like, this guy's definitely a Triumph Hurdle horse. We need to get a bit more experience into him. He'll probably go to Cheltenham. I was listening to this interview thinking, oh, the day will come now, he'll be even money, unless the Irish send something over, he'll be even money for that race at Cheltenham. And he's 5-2 because there's a horse coming over from France who has placed form in graded races. But Burdett Road looked not a machine, but he looked really good the day at Huntingdon. A lot of people talked about his jumping afterwards, but really it was just one. If you make a bad jump at the last, everyone thinks you're a bad jumper. But if you did it on the third or fourth, and then you corrected yourself and he jumped the rest of them the way he did, nobody would be talking about it. So I think there's a serious engine there. It's a weak looking race. The horse on Brandon Fassa won a maiden somewhere in Ireland, Ballinrobe somewhere, for Joseph, and he's gone to England now. I wouldn't like anyone coming out of any horse coming out of Joseph's like that. You never tend to see them improve. So I wouldn't say there's much in it. So I'd say it's a match, and I like 5-2 in a match against the French horse.
Yeah, Milantino, of course, is that French horse for John O'Neill. And who's the trainer here, though? George and A. Zetterholm. I don't see that too often.
Tom George's son, he's training over in France a lot, isn't it? I could be wrong there now, but that's my feeling on it. Well, I keep going with my Saturday ones while we're...
Of course you can, yeah. Keep going, Stephen, yeah.
And then the next race is for amateur jockeys, a 3 mile one chase. And the horse I like is T Clipper. Like, he's 3, 4, 6, third, fourth, and sixth at the last 3 Cheltenham festivals. He ran in the Ultima behind Cork Rambler, finished 6th of 147 in March. And he actually has ran okay since, and he's down to a mark of 136. He was second on a seasonal debut coming back. Will Biddick rides. He'd be the best of the English amateurs, wouldn't he, Will Biddick, for all I'd know about it?
Very
now,
good. Very good.
Yeah,
so he would be, yeah.
Yeah, so the horse is really well handicapped. Tom Lacey's a really good trainer. If he's right, and today is the day, and he is 10-1, I think. So
he's double figures. Yeah,
he's 12-1 actually. Now that I look at it there, 12-1 with the good people at Betfair, so you won't be able to get on at that. So anyway, there's tens out there. T Clipper, seems a huge price to me. I thought he'd be up around favourite, 6-1 or something like that. Interestingly enough, John Gleeson is riding for Henry de Bromhead, Brampton Bell. I don't think John Gleeson's ever ridden over fences, so that's an interesting one. The champion bumper winning jockey, but I would quite strongly fancy T Clipper in that race as well.
Fair enough. I thought Chambard would be interesting. I know I'm not getting on in years, but Venetia Williams has started the season ridiculously fast, and normally when she's in form, they keep rolling. So I'd be interested in the 11-year-old there. But you made a good case for T Clipper. Anything else on the Saturday, Darren, that caught your eye?
Yes, there's 2 horses I kind of want to be against on Saturday. One is priced up, one is not. Springwell Bane, 313 Cheltenham. I think this horse has a hole in him of some description. He's 9-4, 2-1. The shorter he gets, the more I'd be inclined to oppose him. I haven't decided yet whether I'm going to try and find something to beat him or whether I'm going to lay him. I think it'll depend on his price near the off, and there's a bit more liquidity in those markets. But he's a horse I'd be looking to oppose. And then obviously, look, there's no price for this yet, but I can see Bob Wallinger being put in pretty short on Saturday, and I think I might want to oppose him. Obviously, it'll be completely price dependent as and when the race is fully priced up, but there's still every chance he's going to be underpriced, and I think he's gone. So we'll see. As I said, I think so. It's okay. Very, very hard for them to come back. So if he was put in a short price, I'd be very much inclined to lay him and have the field running for me. I mean, it's limited. Zana here has obviously had his run. He's got every chance. Bustleton, Sire de Burley is likely to need it, and rarely puts his best foot forward at this time of year. But in any case, I definitely want to be against Bob Wallinger at very short prices.
Zanaher will be favoured in that race. Zanaher it'll be something like 2-1 Zanaher, 11-4 Bob Bollinger, 3-1 Home by the Lee, and then kind of 5-1, 6-1 Sire de Burley, something like that.
Yeah, you could be the fact that Zanaher's had his run and has won. You're probably right.
Yeah. Bob won't be short anyway. I don't think. I could be wrong now, but
I'm probably hoping to get stroke here. To be honest with you, you could be right.
And there's a big army of fans out there. We're talking about this Mullen Hurdle, of course, at Navan at 2:05 on Saturday. All right, look, we're going to talk about Sunday. There is obviously the big race of the card, would be the Greatwood Hurdle. Plenty of good action on that card. Let's do the Greatwood first, chaps. Goes post 3:30 on Sunday. Nemean Lion came out for Kerry Lee already and was the early market leader for this race based on that Foss last win back in October. But there's been money for only one horse over during the week. Only a matter of time. Willie Mullins, Paul Byrne, connections been smashed in. Stephen Cass, I'll start with you. You normally know. Is this one going to win?
Wasn't talking to Paul now this time. So we could ring him now. We can get him live on. But sure what's different about this one is, like, a horse going to Willies and being switched like that. Normally they disappear for 700 days, and something magical happens to them when they come to Willies after the 700 days. But it's very unusual to see a horse turned out so quick. And I would take that as a negative. Normally Willie's sand gallop and the like, they say it takes a lot of transition. Now maybe the horse is literally just turned inside out, and they're very happy with him. But I actually think this is one of those ones that could go off 10-1 rather than 7-4. Do you know what I mean?
Does happen.
Yeah, so I think there was this race last year. There was something similar, but I'd be against him on that basis, and the fact he ran out the last. He had no reason to run out the last. I don't know why he did it. Funnily enough, 2 Paul Byrne horses that have done the running out. Very hard to think of any horses running out, but Corbett's Cross and this fella are the only 2 you can think of off the top of your head straight away. The one I liked, like Gin Coco tanked into it last year. And like the usual bullshit of the last hurdle being omitted, and that kind of gave him his chance that was killed. 4 and 5-year-olds have won 7 of the last 10. So the one I like is Affodil. Like he clattered the second last behind and the last behind our champ. But I'd say he's a big monster of a horse, big stuffy horse. He finished 7th that day. He wants soft ground, so if he gets rain, I'd be very positive on him. He's a big tank. Hopefully he'll run. And I just think with the record of 4 and 5 rows in the race, he'd be the one of the 4 and 5 rows I'd like, and he's a big price. So Affodil, but he's a bit of a stab in the dark.
Okay, Affodil for Paul Nichols. No jockey chopped up there. And of course, plenty of weather to come between now and then. To see what we might end up with. And Affodil was put in. Benson's in here. If Diarmuid Nolan was here, I'd definitely ask him about Benson. Who obviously picked up a couple of races last year when Diarmuid wasn't on. So no doubt I'd be keeping an eye on this. Darren, I'll let you go before I tell you who's going to win the Greatwood.
Yeah, I found this exceptionally tricky. I really did. I'll wait till the decks are before I get anyway involved here. I thought Too Friendly was maybe a small bit big. There's a bit of 25 to 1 about there. Obviously, the run behind Rubo was franked last weekend. Now, how extended Rubo was to beat Too Friendly, I'm not entirely sure. But this type of big field handicap, I think, suits him a little bit better than a small field conditions race. Let's say style of running should suit the way this race is going to be run too. He picked up 2 decent pots over the summer. Every chance he's just a summer horse, and there's a good chance something in here will improve past him. But I thought 25 to 1 was big enough. He's got James Bowen booked, so he looks like he's a likely runner at this stage. He hasn't. I beg your pardon. Lily Pinchin has been put up. James Bowen was decked up earlier.
I had James Bowen on my screen earlier, so
yeah,
there's been a change there anyway.
Yeah,
but I'm still there. I've got James Bowen still here.
Racing Post has Lily Pinchin.
I've Lily Pinchin as well. And while you were talking off 140, and I think she's a big negative in a race like that. You know?
Massively. Yeah, I couldn't.
She's good, she's good, and she's good to get horses into a rhythm over fences. But a big competitive handicap hurdle, it's a different story.
Do you take £3 off? Will she?
She will, but you'd want she's riding against Harry Skelton and Harry Cobden and
that's a big race,
Sam Twiston Davis.
Yeah.
I'd say you'd want a bit more is what I mean. Like Lily Pinchin is good, but she's not in the bracket of the top pros. Like
sure,
no. Do you know? She wouldn't be a negative for me around Plumpton on a Monday. Let's say, as you said, she's very good to get a horse to jump. Excuse me, especially when they likes to go forward. But I would consider that a fairly sizable negative. So again, I'm going to sit this out until the race is fully decked up. I thought he was just half interested at the price, but it wouldn't be a strong selection at all. So you tell us what's going to win it, Dean.
Sure. I mean, one question is who's riding the favourite? Do we know?
No, don't know. Yeah, you wouldn't know. They like the Paul Byrne colours. They tend to switch it around. I presume Townend's obviously going to be riding Facile Vega. I have a feeling. Do I have it in my head that Danny's in Cheltenham on the Saturday anyway? So maybe he'll stay over and ride it.
Okay.
Can he do 10-3? He probably can. Yeah. Actually, yeah, he can definitely do 10-3. I think he ride off 10 stone a couple of times last year, Danny.
Hey, if it's going to win, it might get down to it. That's always a decent sign. Okay, so we don't know. Okay, well, the horse I like for it is Lucia. 136 surely cannot be the mark this wonderful little mare's going to end up on. I don't think they'll be that upset with the You Wear It Well run at Weatherby. If this was the plan, they'll be delighted with 136. I think could have any amount in hand. Now she has to put a couple of disappointments behind her. They were talking about obviously being a supreme horse, including connections and people connected with the horse, obviously making sense of that at the time. Decided to go for the easy route. I don't get too upset about it. Remember, Marie's Rock was going to be the superstar. Eventually became what they always hoped she was going to be. She's double figures, lads. Can you put me off?
I'm shocked she's running. I don't have a strong opinion. Or sorry, Steve. It's not the most Nicky Henderson like thing in the world to do this. I have to say. That's not to say he doesn't have runners in races like this, but it wasn't the direction of travel I thought they would take with her. I don't have a massive opinion on her either way, but I think she might be a little bit soft. What do you reckon, Stephen?
I think she's a bit slow. I think she needs to go out to 2.5, and that's when you'll see her better. I think she's been done for toe a couple of times. You Wear It Well did her for speed the last day. She travelled well at Aintree as well, behind in the pocket, and just flat-footed at the back of the last as well. I think they probably want to go out and trip with her. Now you might say that she's it's a Cheltenham 2-mile race, handicap hurdle, she's going to get a strong pace. Like it's a little the hurdles track on the old course is the most little twisty turny little track. And they have them always for the Greatwood. They have them on the innermost of it. So
They do, yeah. Put them right out there.
yeah. So they're basically on the turn and then a whip up the hill. That's all it is, and it's a real speed race with a little bit of stamina thrown in at the end. I don't think the race will suit her. That's my view on her for the race.
Fair enough. She's definitely in the category of one I'm going to continue to stick with until she wins, Stephen. So
I wonder if she goes out and trip for the Lanzarote. Maybe could be the race for her this year.
Yeah.
I think Nicky won that with Marie's Rock, the Lanzarote, didn't he? So he's not afraid to throw a mare at that. So that could be the one.
Okay. Super interesting for me anyway. There's obviously plenty of racing on that Sunday card. We're a little bit far out from the decks, and plenty of them actually, you'll notice if you're scanning Sunday already at this stage, entered elsewhere across the few days of the meeting. The Schlur Chase has to be of interest to everybody. It looks an absolute belter. Stephen Cass, a race that it looks like Banbridge is coming for. Dancing on My Own, Nuba Negra, John Bond, Edwardstone, Editor the Geek, not out of place at any meeting.
Have they said Banbridge is going to run?
No, but it'll
depend on the ground, of course, But I wonder, will they have got Banbridge fit, hoping they were going to get good ground here at this early stage of the season, or would they say, do you know what, we might just go to Leopardstown at Christmas, that we might get good ground there, as you can sometimes. I just wonder, is he fit? He would definitely be interesting. I think the form of his entry run was good, but he's just the top of the ground horse. John Bond, I just wonder, is Cheltenham his track is one thing. I thought he was very flat at the finish in both the Arkle and the Supreme the year before. I'm not sure he really bombs it up the hill. He is a walk in the park, isn't he? And I have a big thing with all those horses. I mean, he's only really had Duvan and Min and John Bond. They're costing tons of money. I think they're all a bit soft, the heads up in the air.
Hey, this one hasn't done bad. Like, to get beat by El Fabiolo and Constitution Hill, you can put it in the bracket with those other ones.
He never, the Arkle last year was funny. He never looked like he was going to threaten El Fabiolo. Certainly from 4 or 5 out. He just he couldn't lay glove on him. I think Coleman was holding him together. And he was well beaten in the end. He was good at Aintree. Flat track might suit him better. Min the same, Aintree really suited them. Those walk in the parks, head up in the air. I think the flat tracks there a bit better. And he was very good at Sandown. But Sandown, that race always a funny one form-wise. So they're kind of talking about him like a proper Queen Mother contender because of that Sandown race more than anything, I think. I mean, if you look at the rest of his form, where he was flat in the Arkle, Warwick, he was cat. There was one other run, wasn't there? What was the other run last year? Sorry, I'm clicking into him here.
Entry,
yeah. Well, we know he
didn't have a rival.
Yeah. So like Warwick was bad. No, Sandown, when he beat Boot Hill, that was pretty good last year, in fairness to him. So
Boot Hill's a good yardstick, but not this level.
Yeah. I just wonder, is John Bond as good as everyone's saying he is? Edwardstone, you don't know what you're going to get.
2-1 on, Stephen. It's 2-1 on.
Yeah, I wouldn't like it. Wouldn't like it at all. And then with the rest of them, Nuba Negra, ground, again, you don't know what you're going to get. I wonder, is there a small chance Editor de Geet could get a freebie up front, and you might have a nibble of him at 14s? But again, he seemed to go off the boil in the latter half of the season. Yeah, again, I've never had as many no bet opinions on a race, but I definitely would not like to be putting John Bond into multiples or backing him at 2-1 on. That's for sure.
Sure. Yeah, that's fair. It's a belter of a contest, even if there's a few question marks over even John Bond, according to Mr. Cass. Darren, what do you reckon?
Yeah, I wouldn't be just as strong as Cass, as negative on John Bond as Cass is, but he's comfortably the most likely winner here. But equally, I don't want to be backing him at 2-1. Now, in saying that, Edwardstone, I think the sooner they go and trip with him, the better. He certainly has the ability to win a race like this, but I think they'd be disappointed if he was as good as John Bond at this stage. Stephen made the point that Editor de Geet could get a freebie, but again, he looked to go a little bit sour towards the end of last year, so it's hard to know what you're going to get with him. I thought Nuba Negra was half interesting just in the fresh angle, but again, you'd want the ground to dry out, and as Stephen has said, there's mixed forecast coming into the weekend. Like 6-1 is probably just on the skinny side. If he was more like 9-10-1, I might be half interested in him with the prices. And all of this to say, I'm happy to just watch the race, to be entirely honest.
it's a race I'm looking forward to watching, regardless of any kind of punting angle in there. Well, like we've all said, you don't know what the ground is yet. You don't know exactly what the final makeup is, but it's a nice race for Sunday in the UK, of course.
He could be a bit stuffy as well. I mean, John Bond wasn't going for this race, and now he is. So he was going straight to the Tingle Creek, I think, and they only kind of changed their mind, didn't they? Yeah. So they might be happy out him jumping the last upsides and finishing second in this. Look, my point is, I'd be very careful with him at Cheltenham. I have a question mark about him at Cheltenham.
Well, he gets an opportunity to put that to bed at the weekend if he comes and struts his stuff against what is a good field. The handicap chase that I thought was interesting at 220. I'm delighted to see Dusart dropped up. It sounds like a Mickey Henderson fanboy. Maybe I've turned into one. I'm not absolutely sure. But Dusart dropped up with Nico de Boinville, Nicky Henderson. It's currently 16-1. Dusart 154. I don't, they could have been kinder there. This horse needs a break at some point. I'm looking forward to that. But that is a belter of field. Any of you two lads have anything else on the Sunday you were interested in?
I certainly did. Anyway, that race, if the rain comes, Royal Pagaille at 14s would be a good bet, based on his form around Cheltenham and on soft ground, but you couldn't back him now. I thought Rose of Arcadia over 3 miles. She's won 3 out of 4. They went point to point with her when she went a bit sour, and then she's absolutely been flying since. She's won two point to points, and then she's won 4 of her 8 starts since. Freddie Gingell will probably be riding as well to take 5 off, so she'll be carrying an absolute featherweight, and what she wants is a big stamina test, and she loves Cheltenham, so Rose of Arcadia be one at a big price that I think could go well.
Same race, that 220. It is an absolute belter. Looks a cracker. Darren, did you have anything else on the Sunday?
Yeah, I just going to the Troytown on Sunday. I was half interested in one Run Wild Fred. I've had a soft spot for this horse for a long time. Obviously must have hurt himself last year. Pretty much missed the entire season after being kicked out of the way by Noble Yates when he was odds on in the race. I assumed that there was a problem came to light after that. I was actually pretty happy with his comeback in Limerick behind Gerri and Cocoa Beach, etc. I thought he was a big enough price. And look, you'd be mental to even attempt to have a bet in this race at the moment, because Gordon having half the field, you don't know what's going to be declared and what isn't, and who's going to be riding what. But I think he could be one to keep on side for the coming year if he's gotten over his little issue. I mean, he is a horse that admittedly gets it a little bit hard to win, or certainly had in the past, but I think he's got bags of ability, and there is a massive handicap chase in one of these days.
Fair enough. You mentioned a few of Gordon's there. I mean, what's happened to this race, Stephen Cass? What has happened to the Troytown? Are we supposed to accept that this is the way it's going to be? I mean, it's the way it's been for a little while, but what's he got in there? 17?
Yeah, I think 17 of whatever it is, 22. It's depressing. It's depressing reading. It just, the days of Troytown when you would have had lots of small yards, and, Tyner might have something in there, Gavin Cromwell, even Henry Drummond, Noel Meade, big trainers like Colin Murphy, all these, no does Anthony run. There's just no horses outside of Elliott for these big 3 mile handicap chases. The Paddy Power, the Irish National, between Willie and Gordon, the Testes, the Plate, the Galway Plate, they're all gone this way. Everyone goes, like, there's a lot of smug Irish people going on about, the Irish will win this and that at Cheltenham. But I tell you what, I much prefer watching English racing at the moment, because it's competitive. And races like the Paddy Power and the Coral Gold Cup and the good English handicaps are miles more interesting than all the Irish racing. So I'd be very worried about what's happening with Gordon and Willie. And as well as that, I'd say the two of them are on the phone to each other saying we can keep all our owners happy here and avoid each other, which is what they do. So Willie goes to Naas, Punchestown, and Christmas at Leopardstown, while Gordon's given this race and he's given Down Royal, and they kind of just avoid each other. It's a sad and sorry state of affairs, and I certainly have no interest in the race on Sunday. Nothing to say about it, but I don't know what they're going to do. I don't know what they're going to do, because according to everyone, the owners paid the bills. But sure, the owners are just basically Jigginstown, isn't it? Like that's the problem.
Jigginstown, JP, a couple of other, Rob Core, a couple of other. Who else have you got in there? Of course, the more inspective stud, obviously. Like, if you took them out, there's none left.
It's boring though, isn't it, lads?
It's not. You can't even look forward to that
thing.
race.
Is boring. That's what I'm saying. It's like, how has it been allowed? How has it been allowed to happen that, like, this is one of the premier handicap chases of the season? It's one of the early highlights. Let's call it. It was a race, as Stephen said. You used to be able to get jiggy for. Really look forward to it. how have we gotten to a place where we've allowed this to happen? Or how has it happened? I mean,
I
I
don't know.
appreciate it.
Like,
Intervention is difficult, but it's just so fucking boring. Excuse my French. It's so boring. Like you're fed up with the same thing. It's always with jumps racing. You always end up just a shade disappointed. It never fulfills its true potential in terms of competition. As Stephen said, the big two lads avoid each other consistently. England is a shade better, like not a whole pile better, but at least it is a shade better. The standard is lower, but it's more competitive racing, certainly on a day-to-day basis. But like, it's a consistent gut punch with National Hunt Race in the last 5 or 6 years in terms of disappointments, and it's getting it very hard to get up for racing in that period.
Would it kill it to say that no yard can have more than 3 in a race above a certain level? Would it kill it? You don't want to do that to maidens and novices and all that. You've got to go and get runs for these horses, right? But when you get to a certain level, would it kill it?
I haven't given it enough thought, but I don't think it'd do this specific race any harm. I certainly don't think it would do the Irish National any harm, and it wouldn't do the Testes any harm or the Paddy Power Gold Cup.
That's where it's so obviously backed, so that makes sense.
Yeah, but they're literally putting horses into the races just to stop other yards having. Exactly. Well, in fairness, the problem here is the other yards don't even have an entry. But you kind of know, like, take Malor Mission for example. 10 years ago, he 100% would have run into Troytown. 3 mile front running would have suited him perfectly. But I'm sure John McConnell's thinking, and I've never spoken to John McConnell, but I would guess he's thinking, what's the point of going to the Troytown? Because Gordon will have 2 with 10 pounds in hand, or he'll have, yard tactics going on, and it's Gordon's race. So he's going for an easier target, which is the Carl Gold Trophy, a much more competitive, much better race. Like, it's incredible. Yeah. But he's just an example. I don't know what they do with it, but I think intervention, you can be specific. Like, it literally could be those 5 big Irish National Hunt handicaps that are very important. The Galway Plate, the Irish National, the Paddy Power, the Troytown, and the Testes. Why not do that for those? Why not do it for a year and see what happens? I mean, because at the moment they're extremely boring.
Use the race record, like, do you know how they're happy to shift the grade of a race? Let's say if over a consistent period the race ends up not getting enough runners or not having runners high enough rating. If you look at a race like this, and let's just use this as an example, 5 years in a row, half the runners come from 1 yard. I think at that point you can definitely justify intervention of some description. Do it on a race by race basis. But if the same races are being picked up by the same people every single time, and they're supplying half the field, at that point, I think for the sake of the sport, you probably have to step in. As much as I don't like the idea of it.
Yeah, I think it's looking like it might come to that now. Things change, and for whatever reason, one of the yards may end up falling out with some of these owners, and there might be a bit of disbursement, but it doesn't look likely. It just looks like it's getting worse. All right, that was the Troytown. Look, we've come to the end of this week's race. Of course, brought to you with Gambling.com. It is time for the naps. I didn't get one in from Darren Nolan. No doubt you check him out on Twitter. He'll have something for each day of the Cheltenham meeting, and of course what's going on in Ireland. So I'm going to come to Stephen first. Your best of the weekend. You give me more than one. We've gone through a few days racing there if you want, Steve.
I'll just throw in another horse who may or may not run on Sunday, and a horse that I'm really excited about. Having done a lot of work for the podcast this week, I wouldn't have been familiar with this horse now before doing the work, but I looked at all his videos since. It's a horse called Trelawn that Kim Bailey trains. Oh my God, I'm absolutely in love with this fella. He looks, he kind of reminds me of Imperial Alcazar, one of those 2.5 mile, 3 mile Imperial Commander, maybe a big brute of a horse. He's already rated 143. He's only had about 4 runs. He won a novice limited handicap chase in the Snaff the last time, jumped really well. He definitely could be a grade 1 horse. When you go back on his 3rd run at Uttoxeter last year, it was a 25k race, Midlands National Day, load of 130, 140 horses, and he absolutely bolted up. I mean, you don't see handicap hurdles won in England like he did, against good horses as well. You'd have heard of all the horses in the race, like proper 140 horses. I'm very excited about him. He might want a bit of dig, so they mightn't run him on Sunday. But I think if if the UK, there could be an RSA horse. I'm trying to think of the name of the race. The Brown Advisory. There could be a Brown Advisory horse in there for them. Trelawn. He's just won. Probably a lot of listeners, half of the listeners mightn't have heard of him. So he'd be one.
145 Sunday.
Yeah, now he mightn't run because 2.5 miles. It'll depend on the ground. I think he'd want a bit of dig. And I do think he's going to be better over 3 miles. But they might find a softer target for him. But if he runs, I'd be very, very excited to see him again. And in terms of naps, I'd be sort of going for the horse in the Triumph trial, but at the same time, I think on a handicapping perspective, I think Il Ridoto has quite a bit in hand the way they've let him in with the framing of the race, and if Freddie Ginger's as good as everyone tells me he is, so my nap is Il Ridoto.
Thank you. Il Ridoto, of course, I think might have been my nap on this day last season, Stephen, so you can have it 12 months later. You'll probably be right. I'm not with it this weekend, and I would have made Unexpected Party my nap, but Angel's Breath has mean I'm going to at least split some of my staking on the race for sure. So I'm not going to give you mine yet. Darren?
I'm going to stick with Good Risk at All. Like as I said earlier, I wouldn't want to be laying 2-1 with this horse, much less the 7-2, 10-3 that's readily available on offer. I think he'll go off something more like 7-4, 15-8 when the time comes, and he's already heading that direction with certain operators. I take Stephen's point about the trip being something of a question mark, but I think he might just get away with it, especially on the old track at Cheltenham. So Good Risk at All. If you'll give me 10-3 there, let's split the difference between the two prices. I think he's an absolute one for the weekend.
Okay, Good Risk at All for Darren. And if Lucia is confirmed for the Greatwood, that would have to go very near to the top of my punting list. But actually, I think Calico might be the best bet of the weekend. Dan Scout and Harry Skelton in the 145 tomorrow on Friday's card. I'll be keen, obviously, on all the Nicky Henderson fanboy horses. Look out for Dusar, Lucia, and this has been the theme of my weekend. Nearly came off with Paul Nicholls last week, but not quite in the way we would have liked. It's my pleasure to have been joined by Stephen Cass and Darren Hughes on the Racehour this week. Good luck if you're getting involved at Cheltenham. Do gamble responsibly. We'll be back next week when Diarmuid Nolan should be back here.
We miss you, Dermo.
Relentless, remorseless, and pounding towards